Hi guys, we're going to go over an optimal recruitment workflow for call center hiring. This is just a guide, so you may want to run with a couple of different things in your actual recruitment workflow, but hopefully this is going to give you a good overview of what's possible. First, I think one thing to note here is that there's only one interview step here. Now, you may think that that's not enough. I personally think it is enough, but you may say that actually we want to add in a bit of extra security to start with around the kind of candidate quality. I will say, and I'm saying this in a lot of the videos here, that this piece of the puzzle, the online assessment piece, is if you get that right, this is going to do loads of heavy lifting in the whole recruitment process. And it means you can start cutting out layers of the hiring process you currently maybe are doing in order to streamline the process, get to a hiring decision quicker, offer more candidates more quickly, secure more talent for the business. So let's go through the recruitment workflow, and let's, like we do normally, let's start at the beginning. So we're going to start with the sourcing phase here, and everything stems from this first step, which is agreeing the hiring criteria. Now, there is a video on this. If you've not watched that, really recommend you watch that next. And it's going to take you through how to get agreement on all the different stakeholders that you have on what the hiring criteria should be, what attributes should be assessed. We recommend always starting from a position of job analysis. That is by surveying existing employees, asking them about the tasks they do, what attributes are required to do those tasks well. From there, you then take that job analysis, those list of attributes, to the hiring managers, and you get agreement from the hiring managers, from stakeholders like training and development, etc., on what attributes should be assessed in the hiring process. It's only when you get alignment, only when you get agreement from those stakeholders that you can move forward. If there's differences of opinion, frustrations not voiced, you're always going to hit roadblocks when it comes to hiring. So do get alignment first. Then we're going to go to advertising. Look, advertising for call center work, vast majority of candidates are going to come through job boards like Indeed. Yes, you might get some candidates on social media. Always try where possible to get diverse candidates to apply. So deliberately target neurodiverse or diverse candidate pools there are out there. Then we're going to funnel candidates into an application form. Look, we really recommend you use an ATS for call center hiring. Yes, you can use Indeed, one-click apply outside of your ATS, but ultimately you're going to get a lot of people applying for the roles that perhaps aren't committed. Your recruiters are going to have to chase those candidates, try and book them in for an interview. They won't be actually interested in the role. They've just clicked one-click apply. So wherever possible, funnel people into your ATS. Are CVs or resumes required for call center work? In my personal preference, no. You can move beyond those into skills-based hiring with the correct online assessment. If you don't have the assessment piece in place, or it's something that you're not confident in, maybe your assessment isn't quite right, quite working, yes, absolutely add in a step for resume or CV review. But ultimately, it's going to really hold you back. It's going to slow your hiring process down. And also, it means you're only hiring people that have had prior experience in education rather than the hidden gems, people on their job suitability. So that is something to consider. Yes, you should have an eligibility check at this point. Do you have the right to work? Can you speak the language? Whatever it is required for the call center work. Should you remove names? Yes, if you want to commit to blind hiring, and we would encourage that, but it is an optional thing at this point. Obviously, now what we're going to do is going to move from application into assessment. So as mentioned, if you've moved beyond asking for a resume or CV, or certainly making a decision at that point based on their experience or education, you can still ask for it, use it later in the hiring process. Then you're going to want some sort of assessment at this point to know, of those 100 people, 100 applicants have applied, which one should we be focusing our time on as recruiters? Who should we be prioritizing? A good online assessment should do that. And then that should trigger an action. So if they score above a certain threshold, be that a score or a percentile in relation to other candidates, you would then move them quickly, fast track them straight to interview, and reject candidates that don't. And it's fine to auto reject at that point with a generic rejection message. Look, one thing on assessments, if you are using an online assessment, it should only assess job relevant characteristics. It should educate candidates on what to expect in the job. Obviously, that's our approach at ThriveMap, take candidates through a digital day in the life of the job and test them via real life scenarios and tasks. That is highly recommended. And importantly, should enable candidates to deselect themselves from the hiring process. So they go, look, I'm not interested in this type of work or this environment. It's too demanding, too challenging. I prefer a slightly different way of work. That's fine. You're saving everyone time in the hiring process. Then at interview, you are going to want to interview for these roles, I would have thought, because some things can't be assessed in an online assessment, or some things are better assessed in person, such as maybe someone's cultural alignment with the business, such as maybe their phone manner. Again, it might be better to be assessed listening to them on the phone via interactive exercises. And we've said here that interviews should test the same attributes as any online assessment. They should be the agreed attributes at the start of the process, the agreed hiring criteria, and it should involve interactive exercises. It's very easy to assess someone's ability to speak to customers, role play situations on phone-based environments in person. And that's all kind of reinforcing whether they have those attributes required that have been agreed with those stakeholders at the start of the process. So obviously candidates then that perform well at interview, you would want to move to offer. What this gives you in terms of a workflow when you move beyond the resume review, the CV review, is it gives you a much quicker process. So someone's applying, instantly they're invited to an online assessment, preferably through ATS integration. And that means that every candidate then is scored and graded. You can quickly move any candidate with a high score straight to interview that same day. They could have applied and be showing up in an interview on the exact same day and be offered that day as well. And that's really the optimal workflow for these roles. You should have an idea is, look, if we're confident they've demonstrated these skills, let's not wait 2 weeks to accept applications. Let's get to an offer straight away. So hopefully that makes sense. I'd love to hear any feedback or comments in the document. There'll be more videos in the playbook we'll put at the bottom in terms of related resources. Thanks so much for listening. Cheers.